like there's a lot of teams in contention for the Abu Dhabi title, but Heroic I think do deserve to be at least like a solid favorite above FaZe. Maybe not outsiders because we saw how badly that went at the last time. But then again, like a lot of things went right at the major, like for a lot of teams. So who knows if outsiders are going to be able to bring the same level again. For Heroic, at least we have like a confirmation. Okay, this is very legit a contender.
Add some fun to your space with Xtrfy, designed in Sweden with focus on quality products built on experience. You're looking at Project 4, their 4th generation of products with super cool colorways to stand out, with matching sets to satisfy with a solid B4 bungee, lightweight ergonomic M4 mouse, the K4 keyboard is fantastic, all of which are performance focused, and finish it off with colorful GP4 mouse mats that are bold in design and smooth on the surface. The retro theme in particular has got the feels. Complete your setup with Xtrfy. No regrets, guaranteed.
Finally, I found what I was looking for. Now that my search is over, it's gonna be a tough choice. But fortunately, no need to choose. When you can just have them all. Buy and sell skins on Bitskins.com.
Your bet, your game.
Hello and welcome to HLTV Confirmed episode we also don't count anymore. Here with refrezh and Striker, and proudly brought to you by Xtrfy and OneBet and Bitskins. Shout out to the sponsors. We here have a very exciting episode. We have a returning guest, one of the guests that was one of the first people to come on HLTV Confirmed when no one was watching, not even my mom. And Striker, as usual. We'll also have SPUNJ joining us later when we talk about Anubis. But first of all, we're going to talk about refrezh and Sprout a bit and some of the recent news and Blast and stuff like that. But just kind of a warm up to start here. I'm going to do a classic question for Striker. What is your favorite meal of the last week? What did you put in yourself that you enjoyed quite a bit?
I made butter chicken. Like
butter
Indian
chicken
style food,
yeah.
Literally yesterday.
That's
nice.
A British recipe, actually.
Hey, whatever it is, it's good.
There we go. Congratulations on that. refrezh, how are you feeling after the capitalization of Denmark to the Kangaroos yesterday?
I would say that we played really bad, and I would say it was a fair win to the Australians. I felt like they played better. Of course, it hurts, but it was just a really weird match to watch. I would say.
That was such a team answer, man. That was like such a professional player answer.
Yeah,
like I'm not a fan. I'm gonna handle this professionally, and I'm gonna answer like I would if I was a player.
Yeah, but I mean, like I'm the type of guy who is kind of fair, so I wouldn't go on and say, "Oh, it was so lucky goal," and we had so many chances, and we were just unlucky. But I would say that Australia actually played better. I felt like we didn't do much, so I was impressed by Australia. I would say because I felt like they played good and had some good individuals. So yeah.
Yeah, that's also why Chad wasn't allowed for the first half of the episode. We had to limit his exposure to refrezh here. Let's roll the bumper, go into the hot seat, and then start talking a bit about your year and what happened recently. yeah, let's talk about. I think there are a couple of interesting developments. The first development's obviously the benching in heroic and then trying to find a new team, and then later on it turned out that you're in game leading and getting some good results. Let's go back to the first part and actually leaving the team that you've been a part of for quite some time, right? How did that happen from your point of view? What went through your mind when you ended up, yeah, kind of leaving the team?
Um, of course, it's been 1.5 years with heroic. It feels like longer, I would say. But
I would agree. Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, it has been a great journey with the boys. I know it sounds a bit cliche, but all good things must come to an end, and that's actually a thing I feel like fits in here. I mean, we have had some good results. Of course, it could have been better. These playoff games could have gone better on the big stages and so on. But overall, it wasn't really bad results. I think in the end, it was just about trying to find the missing piece, and also for me personally, I also felt like uh, I felt like I didn't really do as much as I could, given the circumstances. I mean, it's hard to exactly pinpoint what's the reason, but I would say I didn't really feel like myself 100%. But I mean, it's nothing on the team. It was mostly individual, and uh, so I would say it's more about how the team was like structured and so on. But I mean, you can see clearly it works for them. So it's not about them not having the right structure. It's more about me not fitting into their structure, I would say.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, it's Striker. You wanted to ask
Yeah,
something?
I just wanted to ask in regards to that, right? Because obviously, a lot of people will look at it and kind of like consider some of the individual results that you had over that year, and especially some of the tournaments there where you had some of the, let's say, statistically worse performances. Do you feel like some of that criticism was warranted and towards you?
Yeah, of course. I think every time you have a bad performance, I mean, first of all, you can look at it as an individual, but also as a team. I think there's no one else to blame than yourself and the team, kinda in a way. You cannot go and say, it's because of the enemy or something uh, outside of the game. Of course, these things can have an impact, but in this case, I would just take responsibility of it and say, performance-wise, I didn't do my job in the last 6 months of heroic, I would say. But I mean, overall as a team, I think it still went good. We still went to playoffs. Made it to I think semifinal at Katowice and so on. Lost to the winning team of the tournament and so on. So it's not super bad results as a team, but I think as an individual, they were not good enough.
Yeah, I mean, even if people now say, "Oh, with Yabi they achieve this and that, and they become number one," which is true. The first couple of months with Yabi were not that great, and people are like, "Oh, they shouldn't have replaced them. Bring back refresh," right? So these things happen. Like one tournament changes, or two tournaments change the whole narrative about the team. And I think it also showed that it like the role. Not the role, like any role on heroic seems to be kind of difficult because even when they win tournaments, no one's the MVP. No one really stands out. There's no like superstar setup player on the team. But in terms of like your role on that team, how would you define it actually?
Um, well, heroic is a really dynamic team where everyone is contributing a lot. I mean, I would say a lot of us are sharing the same role, kinda, that we all have to like take responsibility and be able to make calls and like like come with a lot of input. I think, of course, Cadian as the IGL and the sniper is, of course, really what you call it, defined role. And
Mhm.
the same goes for like Stound as the secondary caller. Um, but in a way, the three last players of the team kind of have the same role. I know some of them are anchors and some of not, and so on. But I would say that they all have the same responsibility. It of course differs from map to map, but it's not as some teams they have like an interfragger, and
Mm.
for example, I would say maybe Rain and Kerrigan's mostly the interfraggers on FaZe, and Robs and Twist are mostly like following up. But in Heroic, it's really different because everybody's gonna interfrag at some point, and so there's not like clear lurkers and clear interfraggers. It's really more dynamic, and that's also why they are when they are like firing on all cylinders. They're really hard to play against because everyone is capable of doing everything. So it's a bit hard question to answer what my role exactly was because they were different. Some maps I would take more control and have more responsibility of calling stuff on CT side, and some maps it was less. So it was a bit up and down, I would say. But overall, it's the heroic style is much about taking responsibility and um, taking a lot of initiative.
I was going to ask about that actually, because obviously, as you say, Heroica is a very specific team in how they play. So I was going to ask about where that exactly comes from. Like, is that Cadian's vision of how the game should be played? Is it kind of like him looking at these 4 or 5 players that he had and just like figuring out how we should play? Like, let's say we have a lot of aggressive pieces, so we should be a bit more aggressive on the CT side than the normal team. Or is it, as you say, down to initiative? Like a guy saying, okay, let's push this, and this is like an idea that I have that we can do on this site, and we can do these moves.
Of course, I'm not gonna say everything here on stream, but since I, of course, know a lot, but it is mostly I would say Cadian who is like uh, responsible for building the structure. But in the games, in the practices, everyone is contributing to making that structure work. Because it wouldn't work if everyone were silent and Kadian had to call like everything for himself because he doesn't have, all eyes on the map and the ears. So that's where he is, teaching a lot by giving responsibility to players that says you have responsibility over this area. When stuff is happening here, you have to react in some way. Maybe it's aggressive, maybe it's defensive, and so forth. So I think he is, he has built the structure and everyone is buying into it, and then everyone is gonna add on to it since they know the philosophy of Kadian. But I'm not sure if like how it started because I wasn't there in the beginning of the team when he, first it was Snappy being IGL and then it turned later into him. But at least what it feels like for me that he kind of maybe created it kind of with Stown or maybe with 100 back then. But I remember actually playing with him at Copenhagen Games he was a stand-in for my team in 2017, and it was actually quite chaotic in a way to play with him, or not chaotic. It was really what you call it, dynamic as it is now. But of course, back then it was different since he was as a stand-in. Um, but also back then, I instantly felt like, okay, he is requiring a lot from me. Like, okay, you have to say X and Y, and you have to communicate that. You have to call this type of stuff, and it's kind of the same he's doing now, just more on an advanced and higher level, right? So I can easily feel like that he's the most responsible from that. I would say for the general style of heroing.
What about moving on from there? So you're kind of in the benched position. You're looking for a new team. What kind of offers come in? What interests you? Like, were you already set like 100% on being an IGL, or did it develop kind of through the offers that you got?
I mean, I was quite clear about what I wanted since I got bench. I wanted to be a place where I could feel like I could be myself 100% and also have as much impact as I want, and not be limited by roles or the general structure of the team. And my first choice was not being IGL. It was more being this secondary type of player where I can have a lot of inputs. I can have a lot of impact. Also, being the IGL's right hand guy in a way to build the structure and the identity of the team. That's kind of what I was going for. But since I didn't really found a place where I felt like it was a project I was interested in, I kind of lean towards being an IGL. I had some talks with Barry, a good friend of mine, and I kind of, opened up the idea of, I mean, hey, Barry, what's up? If I could be IGL, do you think it could work? And then we were, talking for some hours, and after a few days, I was kind of clear that I actually wanted to be IGL for Sprout, since it was a really interesting project. It's a coach with a lot of experience, a guy I have a lot of respect for, and some young players and some young minds I could help and shape in a way, hopefully. And also a team where I could actually have time to develop as an IGL, because I'm not gonna bring the best results in 3 months. At least that what I was like going for. That I know, okay, it's not gonna be easy journey. I have to, work a lot and experience a lot, and being in a top org, uh, being IGL for the first time, it's gonna be a bit tough. So I wanted to be a place where I could develop as an IGL and have time to do it.
You
Yeah.
played with Barry, right, for a while?
Yeah, I mean, it was back then when I was benched in Optic for like 6 months. I was just playing online tournaments with him. So of course I had some history with him, and I know what he was capable of. And I mean, you can even see at this Elisa tournament we played, where he was the stand-in for the first map versus Big on stage on Overpass. He was actually calling, and I think we got at least 7 T rounds on Overpass, and that's pretty decent, I would say.
Especially in today's meta, right?
Yeah, and for a guy who haven't played for the game for a long time and suddenly has to come in and stand in and call, because he called the full game of that game, and I was kind of the lurker, and it was really different for me. I was kind of shocked, because it was really weird for me to play and not talk as much as I do like normally. And yeah, we won 6 rounds on Seaside Overpass, and we didn't win the pistol. That's quite good, I would say. And we mostly won because of his calling, and not so much because of individual hero plays and lucky rounds, I would say.
Yeah, you mentioned that, like having a conversation with Barry about like becoming an IGL. What's that conversation look like? How does he like convince you, or how do you convince yourself like I can do this?
I mean, I think first of all, it's about if it's something you really want to do, because it's not something you should half as I can be IGL, and then just leave it after 3 months because I don't like it, or I have bad stats or whatever, and all these struggles that comes with being an IGL. So first of all, it was more of a commitment thing, that I'm ready to commit to it, and I said yes. And I was also thinking that it would be a great place, and also because Barry would be able to help me a lot, which he also has done. And I've always had it in the back of my head, okay, someday I feel like I could be I could be an IGL, and of course I never knew when it would happen, but it's also it's always something I kept in my mind, that I could actually do this at some point when it makes sense, or when I kind of want to, because it's a role I've always, liked. And I'm the type of guy who would sit with the IGL and talk with him for hours, or watch demos, or whatever way I could help him. I used to do that a lot with Hooksy when I played with him, and we would use every practice day we would meet later in the evening and talk or watch demos for 2 or 3 hours. So it's also something I'm enjoying, being tactical, being okay, how can we improve the team? So I'm really what do you call it, have a progression mindset. And I mean, there isn't a role in CS that's more about progression as an IGL, because you can put in the work, you can learn stuff, you can watch demos, you can create structure to your team, and instantly have impact. But you cannot always rely on making headshots. So it's a role I respect and enjoy a lot.
How scary was it to join a team, especially not just as a UIGL, but one that has this many young players? Because you are the youngest of the team, no, the oldest of the team now, right?
Yeah,
And
it's
you're
the first time.
24.
Yeah, it's the first time that I'm the oldest player on the team, so it kind of feels weird, I would say, playing with such young guys. I mean, I think some of the guys I'm 7 years older than them. It just feels crazy to say. So, yeah, I mean, of course thought about, okay, I mean, some of these players might get approached and bigger teams and all this kind of stuff. But of course, I'm focused about the team, but I'm also focusing on myself. That it's a part of the ecosystem that players gets taken up. But I think we are in a position where we are able to find some next talents if that happens. If someone gets an offer from a big team, I mean, I wouldn't blame them. I would just give them some advice along the way and wish them good luck. But of course, it would be annoying or hurt a little to lose a player since you kind of have to build it up again. But I'm always looking for the brighter side, and Barry is really talented at scouting players. So I'm trusting him a lot.
Tell me just about your kind of style as an IGL. You mentioned some of the IGLs that you played with and your current coach, right? You mentioned Cooksey, Cadian, like doing some secondary calling. But how did you kind of define your style, and who is there like an IGL that you worked with before that you kind of based your style on the most, that like, kind of influenced you?
Um, I think about my style. I'm not too worried about um, trying to copy another person. I'm first of all trying to make sense of it all. Instead of trying to be someone else, I'm first of all trying to think for myself and think about what makes sense to me and what I feel is a good call or it's a bad call. So first of all, I'm trying to trust my instincts, my gut feeling, and my logic, and then I'm listening a lot to Barry. He has a lot of influence, and I'm listening a lot like to him, and he's teaching me basically every day of some new stuff. So I think it's a combination of me trying to create my own identity, and Barry helping a lot. So there is not like, of course, I'm stealing, meta stuff or also some principles that's easy, that's been working on other teams. Of course, I'm stealing those, but that's for me just, basic Counter-Strike. But I'm not trying to make Star be the next thesis or Stown or whatever. I mean, I want the players to be themselves, and I want them to be the best versions of themselves. So I'm not forcing some stuff on top of them and trying to make Sprout mini heroic or something like that.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to find my own style. I want the guys on the team to give me criticism of what they feel is nice or not. Since the style of the team also depends on the players as well. So it's a process, I would say. But of course, we are a long way from goal, I would say.
So how much freedom or how free or strict are you then, like in terms of how you approach your players?
Um, I mean, we have had some different periods, but overall, I would say the style I have is really free. In practice, sometimes I've been trying to be really strict sometimes just to put more responsible on me and trying to micromanage 4 players. That's a bit new to me, and I need to improve on that part, of course. But it is really a free way of playing, and people are able to call stuff for themselves, come with inputs. But I mean, I'm always gonna make a call at some point on the T sides when we have, a default round kind of where we take some map control. I'm always gonna have a call after. But if people want to do some moves or if they see a gap, then I'm ready to follow up on those initiatives always. And on the CT side, I have some like sometimes I'm calling a lot on CT and having a lot of impact. But CT is more individual, so players have a lot of freedom there on CT. I'm not stopping them from doing anything. If they feel like doing a play, go for it. But I always have this, mindset of trying to help the team. And sometimes Barry is blaming me for doing it too much and not, playing my own game. So that's, trying to find a balance and not being too, IGL style and not playing the game and not being too much of a player and also take the responsibility. It's a hard balance, but I'm trying every day to be better at it.
I mean, the one way you can deal with that is also put together a lot of structure and kind of like set plays that you have like in your mind, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm always gonna try. Like, I think after the break, it's also gonna be a bit different since I've had time to try it out, and I think after the break, I have a lot of new ideas on how we can improve as a team. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I mean, it's yeah. As an IGL, you kind of accomplished a decent amount in such a short time. I feel like when this team came together, we all we're all aware that these are quite a few good players, but like the IGL role, is this actually going to work? Right? That was the number one concern for most people. I feel for me as well. Right? I don't think it's. I can admit that so far so good. What do you think was kind of the key to unlocking this team so early on, right? Because you made the major, you followed up with top 4 at the Elisa tournament, online turn results. Some good, sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. We know how this goes.
Yeah.
But overall, you're like top 20-ish in the world with a really young team. So what do you think was the key to that?
I mean, I think I have to give it to my boy Barry. I think he
There we
has.
go.
I think like I would say he has done an amazing job. I mean, I still remember playing the first practice where we just got smashed 23-7 or something like that. And it was against Entropic on overpass, I think. And then a few, like 1 week or 2 weeks later, we met them again in the Armar qualifier, and we won 16-9 on the same map. So I was quite happy. No, but I think Barry had a lot of impact on me personally, but also on each player. He's using so much time on every single member of the team and how they can improve on their role. He's really good at connecting everyone and making sure everyone is playing the same style, because we have some crazy guys on the team and sometimes it can get too wild, and if it gets too crazy and everyone is just like running around, I mean, then no one is playing together. So he's been good at pushing the guys who is maybe a bit too passive and trying to hold back the more aggressive players sometimes where they don't need to be aggressive, because it is kind of a crazy team, I would say, in a way, because I mean, I was not good enough to control the young guys in the beginning, and he's been helping a lot. And if it wasn't for him, I think we would not be here today, and we would not have done as well at the Armar qualifier and also at the major. I think it would have gotten way worse, to be honest.
How is the difference between what his impact is online versus LAN? Because obviously at the major, coaches can't really do anything outside of those little timeouts, and that's pretty much the case anywhere else. I mean, coaches obviously can't do much. While online, it's kind of possible for them to even have a lot of input in calling during the rounds and stuff like that. So how's that balance been? Because obviously, you've had some successes offline, so it's not like there's negative impact. But I'm curious about how it is.
Mm, I think mm, 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 mm. I think we as a team we use more time on the anti-threat when we are at tournaments in the practice room. When we are able to all sit behind Barry and he's talking about what we should do in the next game. So I think in that way he's able to make people more focused and remember all the stuff. I think it's easier for him to have preparation when we play LAN compared to online, because sometimes it's a bit hard to do the same when you don't have a practice room where like everybody is together.
Yeah.
And also on LAN, like I would say, automatically you do more preparation when it's a LAN game compared to online, because sometimes you play a game, and then the next day you have to play another game, and you also don't want to burn out. So I think for these online games, we are struggling a bit still. But I think it's more on the player side and not so much on Barry, because I think he's kind of doing the same. So I think we, what do you call it, find the same fire as we do on lane compared to online. I think that's like the biggest issue, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, it's as you said, it's kind of a wild team. How does this team come together in terms of all of these kind of young players that want to go out and frag? How did you actually define the roles? Who's going to take the back seat when needed and stuff like that? Because you also said you wanted to take a bit more initiative, have a bit more freedom, but ended up being the IGL. How does it all come together with Zyphon's there? These kind of young fraggers, longs, of course.
I think it's kind of looking like this, that we have two really aggressive players, Stair and Longs. They are like really aggressive in different ways. Like Longs, he's a bit more unpredictable and hyper aggressive, and Stair is more calculated but still aggressive. He kind of reminds me of Elish in a way, that he's really good at thinking or like outsmarting like people and have a lot of moves. And that's the same way I think Elish also plays. He has like some good moves, and he's really calculated, and he likes also to be aggressive. And Long's a bit more unpredictable, a bit crazy. He's the crazy guy on the team. And I would say Sufan, he's more a lurker, and he's getting more activated, in the middle of the round, late rounds, clutches and stuff like that. That's where we are. That's where we need him the most. Like he's most like I think it happens every time we play Inferno. He's like down pit, 40 seconds left. He's like alone, smoke himself, killing 3 guys, staying alive. I mean, he's really good at just playing himself. So he's doing a lot of like anchoring, and really good at staying alive. And then the Orpus Lex, he's still trying to, what do you call it, like make it all work, because I'm not using him like in the best way possible. But he's a guy who's also really calculated and also a bit more to the defensive side. But he's really good at when he gets into the situation where I feel like he's like one of the best orbs I've played with, close range. He's really good at, just running around with the orb and just be like unzoomed and just, like quick zoom people like all the time. So he's really good at being in high pressure moments and clutches. But I need to still, figure out, okay, how do I actually call around an AWPer? Because that's still something that's not natural to me, because I don't know exactly what's nice for an AWPer to do like sometimes. And I think I can get like way more out of him if I, keep develop on that part, like how to use him, and how to set him up.
It also sounds like there's a bit of a mismatch in that, because maybe you have too many aggressive pieces at the moment, with those two crazy guys in front.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we are trying to contain them a bit, so they are not allowed to be crazy guys all the time, because sometimes the practices are so crazy, because in the beginning it was like, okay, either we just kill everybody and I'm not doing anything, or everybody dies and I have a 3v5 always. And that's not really productive for my side, because I'm not getting like any out of when Stan Longs just kills people, and it's like, okay, you killed him, nice, I didn't do anything, but good job. But no, I mean, they're doing a great job, and of course it's my responsibility to manage them and make sure they're doing the right things, and like everything makes sense. But they're really good at what they do, so it's sometimes easy to play when they are in the zone, and they're just doing the stuff, because we are just getting 3 rounds. I'm not even doing like anything for, so it feels nice when they just like go off, I would say.
Cool. Let's just look a bit into the future. You had obviously we touched upon the results, and it's kind of the end of the season is coming. You're also a team that doesn't have any ESL slots, no blast slot, right? So you have to work hard for any big tournament invite or whatever. So what is going on in the future? What are your plans for the next couple of months?
I mean, I'm not thinking too much about like tournaments and invites and this kind of stuff. I'm more focused on developing in my own role and also making sure the team is functioning. And from next year, I will try to implement more structure inside the server, but also outside the server a bit. I think we can be way better at, giving the best structure for people to perform. It could be everything from making sure the entry strat is easy to process. We don't have an analyst, so that's also where we are maybe like a bit behind the bigger teams. Since nowadays, you see teams adding all kind of like
7
roles.
coaches.
Yeah, having 7 coaches, 3 mental coaches, a dietitian, all kinds of stuff. And
Foot
of course,
massage guy.
yeah, exactly. So it's definitely something that's is having an impact, and some teams have an edge over us. So it's really about getting the most out of our practices, and getting more experience as a team. And I'm sure, all these qualifiers invites hopefully will go well. But I mean, I'm not trying to focus on the invites and stuff like that because that's something I can control. But I'm really focused on trying to improve myself, but especially the team.
Yeah. Riker, do you have any questions before we kind of move on with the quiz?
No, not. Well, just like kind of like one thing in rounding it off. Obviously, in that let's say half a year, you had reasonable success. There's can I do you would react to that. My question was, you've already touched on it, obviously, attributing kind of a lot of the success to Barry and like your work with him. But what do you think were the biggest factors behind why you guys were able to, oh no, why you guys were able to hit it off so quickly?
Um, I think it's also about me allowing, especially Stair to shine. I mean, he has a lot of responsibility on the team, and he's really good at like secondary calling as well. So me allowing him to also sometimes just take over and just do his thing and being aggressive, call the stuff he wants to. So I think
You're so stupid, Prof. I'm so sorry.
so I think
But
allowing Stair to also do some mid-run calling and find openings is, I would say, really important. And Barry, he focused a lot on, and I also made it a priority of mine to make sure the players are playing well, and then I can focus on the calling. Because what's the point if people are not playing good individually, and I'm trying to outcall people, but what's the matter when we can kill people? So we have been focusing a lot on just
Killing
using
people.
yeah. I mean, just using the skill we have because we know we have it, and that's an edge we have over like some teams that we can simply just outfrag them. So it's a
Wasn't
combination
that a
of
quote that Long said that he thinks that you guys can out firepower
Yeah,
like some of the top teams or something like that?
yes. And I told you before, some time ago, he's the crazy guy. So you can
Yeah.
see sometime where his mind is and where his confidence is. So I mean, it's not bad that he thinks like stuff like this because that's what he believes. And for me, more confidence and believing in yourself and the team is not bad. But I would say,
I mean, it's pretty true, honestly. Like you have a lot of firepower for sure. Like
yeah, I think when we hit our A game, we are at least a threat. I think we also showed it at the RMR, that's almost taking down FaZe. The first map went to overtime, second map we won, third map they wrecked us, but we had the chance of a 2-0. And I think that's not to be. Of course, we shouldn't win against FaZe, but we had the chances and we pushed them like really close. So you can kind of see that we have the possibility. Of course, we are not consistent at all, so that's our main issue. But the skill is there, and I think focusing on killing people was like our best chances, or like the one thing we kind of focus on as a team.
I mean, you have to play to your strengths, right?
Yeah,
So-
exactly. So,
Just a final question. I guess I have to ask this because Sprout is a team that historically has been a team that like people poach from, and the last couple of months, last maybe 6 months, you've been okay. There's the Lonks offers from Ents, then now there's this like talk about Stair, Astralis, and stuff like that. How confident are you that you're gonna have like the same roster in 6 months, that no one's gonna like poach anything from you, so you can continue this progression?
I mean, there's a big change that people will get, poached, of course. But as I said before, it's not something where I feel like, the whole the whole team is falling down because of us losing one player. I think every time you like change a player, you will lose something, but you will also gain something. Of course, there's like a limit to it. I mean, for example, losing Simple would not be a positive thing like at all.
Whatever you gain
yeah,
is not gonna be
yeah,
comparable,
yeah.
right?
So of course there's some like pros and cons. But I think um, there's enough talent out there, so I'm not really too worried about it. Of course, I'm really happy with the lineup we have, but there is a big chance. I mean, I think it also depends on how like how well we do, because if we are doing like really well, maybe the players are giving this team more of a shot. I think there's a bigger chance if we do shit that some people might leave. So it's really hard to say, but I think since we have so many young guys, there's a big chance, I would say.
Yeah, depends on the checkbook and the check that people can write out as well.
Yeah,
I feel
true.
the numbers that have been asked for some of the players that I've been hearing recently are pretty high, so can't really just walk into like a grocery store and buy like
A
can
Stair.
get a baguette and some olive oil and the one Stair, please. Yeah, thank you. Keep the change. It doesn't really work like that. Okay, let's roll into the quiz. The Skinionaire, who wants to be a Skinionaire, and we'll give away a skin. And Refrezh, you're gonna help us win something for the viewers. Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm always feel like when I watch this and there's no pressure on me, I'm always getting the answers like like correct. But I think it's gonna be a bit pressure when I'm actually on the shot.
Just share the link, Lucas, when it's ready. Here we go. People can write Bitskins in chat. By the way, when you're here, shout out to Bitskins for people that enjoy demo downloading. They have entered a partnership for our demo download thing. So they're essentially allowing super high speed downloads and multiple downloads at the same time. Did you see this, Refrezh? How often do you download demos?
Quite often, I would say.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy about that update. I would say it's
There
quite
we go.
nice. Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
So yeah, let's start with the first question of who wants to be a Skinionaire. Feed Refrezh. Which one of these players was briefly Slax's teammate in Berserk in 2018? Was it Hunden, Barry, or Solek?
For sure, Solek.
Do you want the click? I'll click for you.
Okay, do it.
I'll lock it in. You locked in C Solek?
Yes, I'm really confident in this.
There we go.
I didn't even know Solek played that late, to be honest. I thought he was gone long gone.
I mean, I would say this was more of knowing that Hunter and Barry didn't play with him in that team, more than me knowing that he played with that guy. So
it's a collection of the dudes that are on the bottom of the all-time stats on HLTV, all very loved and hated by the community at the same time, but like iconic in a way. Okay, second question. Which academy team did Zyphon play in? Was it Flames Ascent, Astralis Talent, or Fnatic Rising?
Astralis Talent.
You're locking that in?
Yep.
Here we go. Very quick, confident answers.
Yeah.
Easy.
Hopefully it will be a 5-0, but we'll see.
The correct answer is Astralis Talent. Let's go.
Okay,
Easy,
bad,
2 for 2.
Go.
Next question. Who's next in line from your teammates on Sprout?
Interesting. I hope it's not long. don't have the best
knowledge about him.
Yeah, I mean, of his like former teams. I know one team, but I'm not sure about the rest.
Let's go. There we go. Stair and Barry united as players in which team? Quantum Bellator Fire, Windstrike, or Flipside?
Quantum Bellator Fire.
There you go. So confident.
Yep.
Locking in QBF. And the answer is QBF. Here we go. You know everything.
Yep.
We have Barry next. I think Barry is next in line.
Oh, he has played with so many teams. Like, it can be
I
quite
think
hard.
if I looked at his team list and I'm like, this is impossible. He literally played for 1,000 teams.
Yep. It's fucking crazy.
And the question, how old is Barry? 32, 36, or 40?
He's 32.
Yeah.
But I mean, like sometimes we are calling him that he's like way older than 32, but he is 32.
There we go, locking in 32. Is this like when you ask like a girl how old she is, and she's like, I'll guess, and you're like, oh, you're 18. Oh no, you're 32. Oh, you look so much younger. Yeah. Okay, the answer for Barry is 32. Let's go. 4 out of 4.
100% said. 100% would have said 36 because he's been in the scene for so fucking long.
I mean, it would make sense,
insane.
but it's just I remember not too long ago when he was like 30. So like, yeah. So that's why I kind of
keeping
remember.
track.
Yeah.
But like I remember him from 1.6. Like from even like not even the super late years of 1.6. So I'm like, I would have definitely said 30 seconds.
I think he played from like 2009. So yeah, pretty much all the time. Okay, last question for the gloves.
Oh, let's go.
1 year ago, Laux made top 8 of which tournament? Red Bull Flick, ISF 2021, or Romanian Championship Season 7?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna do this without cheating. My hands up. I'm not looking at the tournaments.
Have you been cheating? Have you been cheating until then?
No. Like I've been clean so far. I've been clean. Like you could hear like how instant I was on the answer. So I haven't cheated so far. But this one is actually hard. I mean, I would go for the Romanian Championship Season 7.
I can tell you, I don't think it's ISF because one tap the Romanian team made it to the final, so that would have said top 2, and there's only one Romanian team in attendance, so I would say it's not that.
Okay, I mean, I think I just go with the Romanian Championship then, and hope for the best.
Okay, locking it in, and the answer is
oh,
Red Bull play.
But he's always playing this like. So close.
I definitely did make out Romanian Championship Season 7.
Yeah, I mean, it also sounds so weird, but I only went for it because of the Romanian thing.
Yeah, I'm lucky. If SPUNJ was here, he would say like, "Oh, great effort. Let's give you 5." But I'm not that merciful, so it's gonna be 4, and the winner is Gruzo, following from 2019, 16th. So like 3 years already. Nice. Congratulations to him. Someone's going to reach out. Okay, we wrap this up. We can jump into recent news quickly. Let's roll the bumper and then talk about like Anubis and stuff. We're gonna super speed run the recent news so we can talk about Blast a bit more. We'll just do like 1 minute per topic. Let's start this one. Fnatic win Espoo Lisa Championship, however it's called. You guys were there. Sprouts was playing there. What is your kind of read on this Fnatic team, how they played, and like how good they are?
I mean, I think Fnatic is doing like really well. Of course, the 3 new additions of like FaZe, Nikodos, Roy. Okay, I know Nikodos and Roy joined before the player break, but those 3 are like kind of new. But I think it's really good additions, and I think we kind of see, how good they actually are. I mean, I didn't even know it before, but I just thought on the top of my head that they could be a top 10 team, and now I'm looking and they are actually top 10. And I think they're doing a lot of progression, and also I think it's nice for them to get some confidence, especially for Messi being the IGL. I think it's nice to get a trophy and land victory like under your belt and getting that confidence to compete against the bigger teams. But it is a really interesting teams. Not sure if like when Crims is getting back and so on, but they even won it with Pepsa, so that's pretty big to me.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
the
why
fact that
I was confused. Pepsor just announced that he's like leaving the team, or Fnatic announced Pepsor is leaving the team, which I found weird considering how many times he stood in and like finding some form and the Crim situation being uncertain, right?
yeah, I mean, maybe that's the reason why, because he was like at the light side, he's like, oh, this is what I can do. I can be in a better team than Academy, because that's what I was gonna say. I think the fact that Pepsor was at such a decent level was a big reason why they even won in the first place, because you got them even out of like some difficult games, like the Bad News Eagles one, from what I can remember off the top of my head, where you had some big performances, even the Australia semifinal. I remember him just making a big difference in that overtime game. So like the fact that they had a stand-in that was able to deliver on such a level, I think was a big factor. Obviously, the whole tournament was a bit like I was a little bit dejected because I was kind of looking forward to the tournament, but then like a lot of these send-in situations happen. Like you guys
Yeah.
even had
Yeah.
to play like without without longs for the first map. Had to
Yeah.
play with Barry, and that obviously affects the whole tournament. Who knows if you didn't win that overpass game, and like
Yeah.
that, like things would have been different.
I mean, I would just say, I think Longs would have gotten more than 0 kills on the CT side of Overpass. And it's not to blame Barry because he's not playing the game.
He
actually,
hyped up Barry for like
Yeah.
50 minutes and then just like trashes.
Yeah, but I mean, like it's not to shit on Barry, but I mean he's not playing the game. He's watching the game. He's analyzing the game, and it's just hard when you haven't played DM for months.
Of
Yeah.
course.
And it's
So,
not like he's
yeah.
naturally a gifted player.
No,
and
no.
when he was an active player, he was like bottom fragging most of the time. So
Yeah.
it's a very difficult thing. I also feel like it's hard on the CT side, especially in like a modern game, to be like, hold your angle. Like people just gonna destroy you if you're not up to par.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next one. Quick wrap up. There are two interesting returns. Meyer to Eternal Fire and Oskar to Sinners. I feel like both of these are results of bad decisions, some for the player, some for the org. Actually, talk about Sinners to me, Striker, because they're your local boys. You have the insight. Oskar is your homie. You hang out every day. You play football together. I think you walk his parrot when he's out at events.
No, I was actually talking to some of the guys on the team just about kind of like why they even made the change, and it's very clear that it had nothing to do with how Forsey was playing, because Forsey was like statistically super good. Like he, for his first year at an actual tier 2, 3 level, like he really delivered. But it wasn't about that. It was just because Oskar was the guy who brought them to the top 30 in the first place. They were struggling before that. They were constantly playing these like tier 3 tournaments, but just never could win, never could make it to that big event. And then they got Oskar, and then they finally immediately almost broke into the top 30. He got them there, and with him they started looking better. And that's kind of like why they wanted him back, because they just felt like his game sense and his secondary calling abilities, and the reason why he even got them on that level in the first place, could be the reason why he could propel them even further. Obviously, the problem with that is they also don't have Neofrag since those times, and that's a big loss for the team, because Zero is just not on the same level fragging wise, So this is where I'm a little bit concerned if they can hit that level where they want to make it to the major, like where they want to surpass that level that they had before, because they are just missing a super key player on top of Oskar, who wasn't there for the last year. So I'm just curious to see how this will work out particularly, but I can at least understand the reasons behind it, even if it's a 31-year-old guy, getting back into the team.
Yeah, it's just a waste of time, that whole Titans project.
Yeah.
What a shit show. Honestly, what a fucking shit show. Waste of time, everyone's time. And the worst thing, it seems like they didn't really pay. That's what at least the headlines from Oskar are coming out. Like there was like a lot of unpaid salaries from that team for like Sunny and for him as well. So just a bad thing overall. Forsey, he seems like a player that could end up on some of these international teams. I don't know. Did you see this guy? Maybe play against him in practice or some of the online stuff? Refrezh. What do you think?
I
Do
mean,
you have any insight?
not really. I mean, we haven't met them in any matches, so and I don't really remember practice game unless
That's
it
fine.
was like super crazy. But I would say Sinners is always or they have been a good team back with Oscar and Neofrag, but
Yeah,
they have been a bit more quiet the last couple of months, I would say.
yeah.
So it's not much I've heard about them.
The mayor thing, going back to Eternal Fire. This is what a story. How many roster changes has this team made in this year? I feel like about like 8 to 10, and half of it is the same players going in and out.
That's the thing.
Just
Like
like,
it's
but it's not like they're like, oh, actually this player is bad. Let's not play with him anymore, or he doesn't fit. No, actually, maybe we should bring him back. Like Meyer, he literally retired, went to Valorant, and then came back to this team after like 3 weeks after Voxic left the team. So absolute. Here we go. SPUNJ in chat. Eternal Fire or Eternal Failure. Well, insane.
as I
Absolutely
said,
insane.
eternal
Shots
dire
fired.
or dumpster,
Shots at-
dumpster fire. I think I heard that was a good one.
I just hope they like. I don't know. I was very disappointed with when they actually kicked him from the IGL role just recently. I felt it didn't make sense. They've played some OK CS, and I was like, what the hell can you expect after you just changed 2 players? Got to top 20, like played a decent RMR, played decent Pro League. So it's just sad.
I mean, I think that like that, it's a team where they actually have the skill, but I think they just need to commit to something and give it a real shot. Because I think everyone on the team has been the IGL at some point, and except Xtrfy maybe. I'm not sure, but I remember Santas has been, Emo has been, Voxic has been, Major. Is the IGL now. So I think it's more.
They said he would IGL when they kicked my mayor. I don't know if he actually did. If they only played anything.
I think if they actually commit to something and put in the work, I think they will be much better. Of course, a team with Santas is always gonna be like really, really hard to play against. And also they changed the coach. I think Hardstyle used to be the coach for a long time, right? I'm not sure.
Yep.
How or when this coach got added, but I hope that manage wise or player wise that they don't change a lot like they have been doing, because I think it's just delaying their progress and taking them back, and they're not able to do as good as they actually can.
Yeah, somebody pointed this out to me. Since they made that change where they removed Issa and got an Xcloud, they've made something like 12 roster changes, and the only difference between that roster, the first like full Turkish 5, and the one that we have now is minus Voxic plus Major. That's literally the only change of those 2 teams that are, by the way, a year and like 3 months apart.
What a fucking revolving door right there in Eternal Fire. Hopefully hoping for something better. I know it's also people always like, oh, this team is going to be top 20. This team's like every team in the world is going to be top 20. Apex is going to be top 20. Like it's impossible. There's only 20 teams in the top 20. You can't have 40 teams in the top 20. So it's kind of difficult for, all of them to be successful. But there is also, that's kind of why I was disappointed. Like they were a team that got on the brink of maybe qualifying for the major. They obviously weren't there yet. And then it was like, oh, this is not enough. We need to destroy the project. I think that's like kind of unreasonable. Next topic that we have in the recent news is the ESL Impact season kind of finishing. So we had actually 3 women's tournaments under the ESL umbrella. There were a couple of other smaller ones as well. It's a nice thing. I feel like it's pretty cool that there's like a consistent schedule that we can figure out like, oh, this is the best team of the year, and all the teams kind of go prepared for this. It's not kind of like a chaotic schedule like it was before, maybe with some of the Copenhagen Games tournaments that were very important. Any thoughts on this Nigma Galaxy winning all 3 tournaments essentially in the year?
Yeah, I mean, I watched a little bit of it, and it's basically like it's very clear that this is just the best female team. It has the same feeling like it used to be with the ZAS team I forgot the name at this point. It's just
They
not,
had a
not on the
couple
top of my head.
of we run this town, we RTT.
Yeah,
that
one
was
of
it
them.
for,
Yeah.
and they were secret, I think, for a bit.
Yeah, Secret. There we go. That was the biggest one that they had. But it has the same feeling, and it's kind of a successor to that, even because Vilga's also in that team, and she used to play with those girls from what I remember. And it's kind of like very clear that Furia is also the second best, because I think they were also the second team in at least the last 2 tournaments. I feel like the third one as well. And then the rest is kind of like very. It seems like it's very chaotic. The female scene. There's obviously not a lot of teams representing them, and it's extremely hard to even tell. Like, okay, there's this, like, we just had this Asian team, come into this one, and suddenly they make the playoffs, over a team like CLG Red, who we used to see as like kind of like a giant, obviously with a very different lineup, but the name has a lot of history in the female scene. And suddenly, this Asian team that just came out of nowhere from like former like Tyloo players, that never really played on anything particularly international, and like people that we haven't necessarily seen before, they just make the playoffs. So it's just curious how it's developing. Obviously, it's still very weak. It's still very difficult to even tell like who the best teams are. Like sometimes we'll just see a new team entering and suddenly be better than like some of the staples that we've seen before. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Cool. That's kind of wrapping up the recent news. We need to catch up on the schedule so we can bring in Chad and talk about Anubis. So before we go into the fall final stuff, let's run some ads and come back in 2 minutes and talk about Heroic winning on home soil.
The Xtrfy M42 RGB, what a fun mouse with 5 colorways, lightweight frame at just 59 grams with a swappable backplate to suit your grip style, the sensor, the easy core, the smooth skates, and driverless control for RGB and DPI is why you should check out the M42 RGB down below.
Finally, I found what I was looking for. Now that my search is over, it's gonna be a tough choice. But fortunately, no need to choose. When you can just have them all. Buy and sell skins on Bitskins.com.
Your game.
And back. Let's talk about Blast. Let's talk about Heroic. Let's talk about your former team winning this tournament. I feel like when something like this happens, people are going to be like, ah, his former team won. He must be so sad. He's crying in the corner. But it doesn't really seem like that was your vibe after seeing this happen.
Not at all. I mean, Heroic for me is, in a way, still feels like I'm a part of the team since we have been so close. Of course, I'm not a part of the team, but I'm still good friends with everyone. It was a really nice journey. So it's not something that ended badly in any way. It actually ended, what do you call it, with tears when we had to say goodbye, for the last time. So it's something where we are really close, and I actually wanted to do more like tweets and this kind of stuff, when they were, getting to the final of the major. But on the team, there's some guys who believes a lot in jinxes. So for that reason, I never made a tweet, when they actually got in the final or got to the semi-final, when they actually were moving towards the trophy. And I only do it after, since they have some funny beliefs with these like jinxes and so on. So I didn't want to, to make some bad jinxes.
Who's the most superstitious? You can tell us. No one's gonna know.
I'm not gonna say with what, but I think Stown is the most.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, some funny ones. Yeah.
Okay, so when this tournament kind of unfolded, obviously they had the great major run. Coming into Blast, people still would favor FaZe, Navi, and then they got the final. playing FaZe there. What did you see in this team that kind of unlocked this victory? Like, this is what they have been searching for a long time. They won online first. They had some great results in the online era, like with you, and then you also won the Pinnacle tournament, which is LAN, but a smaller LAN. So this was kind of what was missing in this team's trophy locker, essentially. What was the difference this time?
I think mm, being better under like pressure, and being able to thrive under a lot of pressure and the crowd and this kind of stuff. And the heroic style is, a part of it is also to play with big balls, and that's also what I saw from, this final, that they never, back down in a way. I would say, like, have you heard, all these, owners of teams, or people who were like a part of the team, and they were like saying, it's so hard to watch your game sometimes because when you're losing, it hurts and so on. And like the first time I've ever like felt that was like during the final of the major, because it was like hard to watch, when it didn't like go so well, because I care of like how the team is like doing, and I hope the best for the boys. So I would say it's nice to see them, playing with the big balls, doing all the stuff, they have planned before going to the match, and see them, succeed, because they have a lot of um how should I describe it? They have a certain game plan when they go into games, and it was clear to me that that game plan were like followed through on all maps, like against FaZe. Usually, our problem would be that sometimes we were missing something in a match, and um, for example, I remember the playoff game against Navi on Ancient, where we lost like a 1v3 to Electronic and so on. And that's where you cannot, like, on the big stage, you cannot afford to lose rounds like this. Of course, FaZe also had some crazy clutches, but that's just FaZe. But my point is just that the game plan is to play the heroic style, play with big balls when they have the advantages, that they convert those advantages. And it was great to see them succeed in all those aspects, and seeing especially like Yabi shine in the final.
I actually would have felt so bad for Yabi specifically, because he had that one clutch against Brokey where he peaked, like where he jumped across the connector,
Yeah.
like on shorts, and it got himself killed like literally last second defuse, which was, if you look at it, it was legitimately a mistake. Like, he shouldn't have done it. Like, he even knew that Brokey wasn't defusing at that time, so he just needed to literally wait one more second to peek and kill Brokey, or even get killed. It doesn't matter at that point, right? But then he redeemed himself, as it went to overtime. So
For sure.
I was really glad to see him step up even after making that mistake, because that can really break you. Some of these situations where you fucked up, like you had the game in your hands and you fucked it up, and then you didn't redeem yourself. That was a big a positive sign for me to see from Yabi specifically, because that's not something easy to get over.
Yeah, that's. I think you could also just like look at the difference between the major final and this game in terms of showing up and performing, because that was a game where nothing worked for them, like the most basic things. I think after the grand final, Kaden said something like, "Yeah, people just like one guy died, you need to go for the trade, but people are kind of semi scared, didn't want to die as well, so maybe like overthinking things, like wasting time, not being like." What heroic is like, very reactive, very fast, and just catching on to the opportunities. So it's nice to see it finally click. The question then is going to be like, oh, but can they do this again? Is this like a consistent thing that heroic is going to pull off, at every next event? Are they now the favorites for Abu Dhabi as well? Maybe this is for you, Striker, that watched the game objectively. What do you think? You can be harsh and critical.
I mean, I think the major was kind of like a lot of things going well for Heroic in terms of like how far they got. Obviously, a lot of the big teams not really delivering and things like that. I think full final is the place where you look and actually see that this is a title contending team. Whether they won the final or not, I would have thought the same. Clearly they could have won the title. Even if they ended up losing to FaZe in that overtime. So I think that was the biggest difference, where they actually beat some big names and delivered when that pressure was on. I do think that it makes them kind of at least one of the favorites for Abu Dhabi. The thing is, we see that FaZe are actually like legitimately still a good team. It's not like the major was a good indicator of where FaZe are at the moment. I think at the fall final it was very clear that this is still a very dangerous team. And then when you couple it in with like Outsiders obviously winning the major, and now this is their first tournament after that because they couldn't play fall final, and then like where do Navi stand because of this whole NPL, nipple, whatever you want to call him, situation, like whether they're going to play with him. So like there's a lot of teams in contention for the Abu Dhabi title, but Heroic I think do deserve to be at least like a solid favorite above FaZe. Maybe not Outsiders because we saw how badly that went at the last time. But then again, like a lot of things went right at the major, like for a lot of teams. So who knows if Outsiders are going to be able to bring the same level again. For Heroic, at least we have like a confirmation. Okay, this is very legit a contender.
Yeah, I think this is like we are like entering, I would say, an era where there's no clear favorite anymore. I think every team can beat each other on a good day, and it's really hard to like, uh, to pinpoint who is the top two favorites, because we can sit here now and say it's Heroic and Outsiders, but who knows if FaZe and Navi just comes back into form and it's going to be the same as it has been for the most of the year. So it's really tough to say, because I feel like there's a lot of teams who are doing like really well, and the gap from to the elite to the teams like right under, it's really really small now. And I mean, I could even see Liquid go really deep in the tournament as well. I think it's really hard to say especially when the weapons are also changing, right? I mean, they are using the patch with the new M4, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Also
for me,
Anubis.
yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, Anubis is going to be played.
Okay.
No, not played, but it's going to be in the map pool. Who knows if it's going to be played?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's going to make an even stronger case for Heroic, I would say, actually, due to the map pool. So that's pretty strong.
Yeah, for people who don't know, they don't play Dust 2, so that is a very big advantage to have if you're playing the first tournament without it.
Actually, looking by the teams, I think all teams are playing Dust 2. Are OG playing it as well? Yeah, they were
playing it.
Okay,
yeah,
so actually the only team who has permaban on Dust 2 in this tournament is Heroic. So
yeah, and everybody else has it like quite high up on the list too. Like if you think about FaZe, Navi, even G2, Vitality, all of these teams, like all of these teams have Dust 2 high up in their map pool. So it's going to be interesting for sure.
I mean, I hope some of these teams are going to flow into the third map, and we're going to see some Anubis where no one knows how to play the map, and it's just crazy stuff.
I think there's no chance we won't see it in play, to be honest. I feel like somebody will take that risk, even if it's OG, like just like a big underdog, they're just going to try to risk it, and somebody will have to leave it open. Otherwise, they'll have to leave open like their own permaban, that they never played before. So there's going to have to be some tough decisions made for sure.
I think at least for Navi, I think they're always gonna bend in the second rotation, and also, I mean, FaZe could surprise. Kerrigan likes to be a bit crazy with the veto sometimes, so I'm really interested to see how Anubis goes.
Do we feel like out of the teams that weren't here outside that are at this event that weren't at last spring final, it's Outsiders fall final, the Outsiders and Vitality, right? These are the two teams that have more extra time to prepare. So maybe these could be the teams that pull it out, even though I feel like Vitality is not really a team that likes to experiment that much. Outsiders to a degree as well. But they could maybe have a bit more practice on the map.
Yeah, but Vitality didn't play Ancient, and that's also like one of the newest maps. So it's not like they can just like return to something that they played before, at least like have a lot of knowledge on the map. So I don't know if that's going to be the risk they take.
I mean, the problem is that, if Vitality has to play Ancient out of a sudden, it's like they have not been following the meta and how the map has been like developed. So they are going to be so far behind. And also, I think as an IGL, it would be hard to call on a map you haven't been in the situations before, and the same goes for Outsiders. They usually ban nuke, so that's also going to be really tough to suddenly play nuke where you have to know a lot of grenades.
I'm curious about how
Someone look up like Zywoo's Faceit profile to see if he's playing Anubis. That would be.
The thing is, like, I think you're right. Like, if the teams will have a choice between a map that they are really behind on or Anubis, like they'll like legitimately the better option is just to play Anubis
Yeah,
because
for
nobody
sure.
you're starting at the same level with everybody else.
Exactly.
Like you're gonna
Yeah.
start at the same you have the same starting point. So
Yeah.
it should just be like that. Like
And
whoever has the choice
and
will
at
probably
least
play that.
and at least for Navi it was kind of the same, because back when Asian got added, Train got removed, and it was not because they started practicing like Vertigo, you know.
Mm.
They just instantly just hop on Asian because that's the only option they could do, kinda. So
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about the teams, and then we can talk a bit about Anubis a bit later, so we can kind of wrap up the Blast Fall finals, because there's also interesting, like SPUNJ is saying that Jame was streaming Anubis and Kicker and Norbert the other day. People are saying that as I was playing Ancient nowadays. There's theories for both. I think one of the issues with going into a new map is like the map being reworked a lot, and then that kind of fucking up whatever you learned. I think if you look at Vertigo at the beginning, Ancient not so much. Ancient more or less to stay the same.
Yeah.
But Vertigo in the beginning was like kind of significantly reworked 2 or 3 times, and that kind of destroyed everything. You look like all the defaults, the default smokes and stuff, and then execute as well. So it might be not say counterproductive, but like a lot of your work might be wasted if you go on into a new map and it turns to be changed. Let's okay, Heroic. I think we agree that they're like a championship contender moving forward, and this was great. Just like since I was there, I don't know, refresh. You didn't go to the arena, right? You weren't there.
no, I had
Yeah.
practice, and yeah,
There
there
we
was not
go.
like time. There was not like time for it, but I wish we had time for it.
Yeah, I mean, of course, and you're also not from Copenhagen, so it is a bit of a travel to get there. But it was a very nice moment in the arena. Like you could really feel how much it felt for them. Like even after the whole thing, like Kaden walking around with the trophy for like half an hour, doing 75 interviews and everything. It was a kind of a nice, very nice breakthrough moment, and a nice after party. I can confirm that I carried Stone, so something that KDN can't say for himself. That's it. Let's talk about FaZe. I made a tweet before this event saying that they didn't want to win a trophy in like 127 days or something, and of course, people got upset, even though it's just facts, and you can interpret them however the fuck you want. It's kind of up. Whatever bad feelings you get from that tweet is because what's in your head.
Yeah.
This is just a fact. You can think, of course there were a lot of big tournaments to win. They only had the major and pro league, but they didn't win them. They didn't even get to the semifinals of either of these tournaments. So it wasn't obviously not a great look for the team that's supposed to be the team of the year. And again, they stay trophyless after this event. What is is there a problem for FaZe?
I don't really think so. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's you know, everyone is like looking at FaZe, and at some point as a top team, people are gonna like figure out and how to counter you, how to play against you, and get more time to get used to how FaZe is playing, and everyone has been watching a lot of FaZe demos. So I think this is just the natural
Progression, yeah.
That's at some point, it's easier to get to the top than to stay at it. So I think it's like time for them to look inwards and maybe change up some stuff. I think they have I think they have really like good players, like some of the best, I would say. And you like when FaZe is playing at the top level, I think they are unbeatable because they have so many great individuals. And if Kerrigan and like Robin can enable like those players and have a system that works, I mean, then I think they're gonna be back on top. It's hard to from the outside analyze exactly what's going wrong, but maybe it's a confidence thing. Maybe it's something about the structure that's maybe it's predictable. I'm not really like qualified to say. I still think they're a great team, and they can easily become top one again in a few months.
Yeah, I mean, I for one saw kind of a positive sign from Robs because I think I had a feeling for a long time that Drops, as much as he obviously has his like consistent level, he's never been like a very big difference maker for me. Like in phase, like they never won tournaments through Rops apart from that like was it Pro League, I think, where he got the MVP. Everywhere else, I felt like it was through the other three main stars that they made the most progress, and that Rops a lot of the time would just be kind of like left on his own on the other side of the map. And like if the rest of the team didn't do anything, then obviously Rops doesn't really have any impact. You know, he was too passive in that lurking role a lot of the time, and I feel like he could take a little bit more initiative. And I think we saw it at this event that he was at least tending towards that direction, even though he was still the same Rops. Like for example, in that new game against an IP, I think he had like so much impact where he really did take initiative. It wasn't just because of his lurks and things like that, where he affected the game, impacted the game. So that's a positive sign that I saw out of FaZe. I mean, the fact that they were on the brink of elimination by an IP was a bit concerning on its own. Obviously, they made it through it, and they made it through kind of like in true FaZe fashion, because they've always had to grind out games. They've never been super convincing, even when they were winning tournaments. You know, they always have a couple of these series where they were almost on the brink of elimination, but then you know they would have one of these individual step up, or like a massive clutch, or like a 2v4. You know, that's always been the FaZe that we've known this year, even though they've been the best team of the year. You know, like kind of on hands down without any sort of competition being there. So it was kind of like true FaZe fashion that they got to the final and that they almost won the final, you know, because that was that massive comeback, some big clutches there, big individual plays, you know. So definitely closer to the FaZe that we kind of expected to see at the major and didn't see, at least, even though still not the same like FaZe that we saw in the first half.
Yeah. Let's there are a couple of more teams. Obviously G2 and Navi are two teams that people want to talk about all the time, but we're also going to do another show most likely before the final tournament, the world finals. So let's keep that for the next show, and let's talk about NIP because their season is officially over. DJL is going to a vacation in a summer land on a beach. He says he's chilling. Do you think he has a reason to like go into this vacation happy with the results NIP has accomplished? As you said, coming to the brink of beating FaZe, could have been in a grand final here in Blast.
I think NIP they have been doing well. Of course, the major run is like unfortunate, but it was great to see them here at the like fall finals, and I was like glad to see Res also having more impact with the AWP. He's still new to it, so it's of course like difficult. But I was especially impressed like by like Brolan. I think he played like really well, and especially in that FaZe game. I mean, he had some moments where he were looking like really sharp individually, especially on Mirage, even though they were losing. I felt like if they can activate like Res and Brolan and make sure they are like the top performers as the history has known. I think they can be a really dangerous team, especially having Hampus and Alexi as you know as these X Factor players. Out of the sudden, Hampus is gonna do something crazy, or Alexi is gonna make a 3K with doing some move. So I think they are, and also gonna be a difficult team to beat in the future. But I think it's more on the new roles, Hampus in a new role, Rest in a new role, and everyone has to find their footing. I think it's gonna take some time when they're gonna find some consistency, but I think they can go into the break maybe not super happy, but at least like confident in they can actually do some damage and play like really well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the op is still the question mark. I think for everyone remains to if there's one reason they can't super relax is because maybe they should be active on the transfer market and then scout some players, maybe try out some players, talk to people, and that remains the question. I know it's pretty annoying and boring to even talk about this anymore. I feel like it's for the last month and a half. It's just like every analyst desk about an IP is like, but Rez on the op, he should, and then Pimp is like, he shouldn't be on the op, and just copy pasting. But it is true. Everyone thinks this. Everyone thinks this, except maybe even an IP thinks this. I feel like they do, but they just don't have a better solution right now. Striker, what is the better solution for them?
I was just like in my head, I was like 4C to an IP, 4C to an IP.
Well,
Obviously,
now they can speak the international language.
but that's the thing, right? Like because that's what opened up so many that like this world of possibilities, you know. Because obviously the whole problem was there's no Swedish opera, you know. That's why they wanted device in the first place, you know. Because there just wasn't a real option in Sweden, like where they could get somebody good enough, you know, to be on the op. Device obviously didn't work out, but now that they have Alexi, there's a lot of possibilities out there, you know, for them to get any sort of offer they want, essentially. Obviously, you know, notwithstanding some buyouts and whatever like that, that might stand in their way. But I mean, we're always going to talk about it unless Rez proves us wrong. For the time being, I think he has the same vibe to me as kind of like a secondary opper who just goes into primary opping and just is still kind of like getting used to that, because you can tell that just the consistency that we see from, I know Shiro is maybe like too high of a level of an example, but like those kind of like elite oppers, you know, that like they will just hit the shots that they're supposed to hit. You know, maybe they're not going to hit all the flicks and like be like a super mega impactful player that will just go into like simple level situations and just win 1v4s. But like the stable opera, you know, they will just hit the shots that they need. I can see that Rez isn't that yet, at least, because he can hit some like really nasty shots. He can have those moments, but he's just not as consistent as some of those guys that we've known, you know, to be operas for a long time, and be consistent at that level. So that's just something that obviously will take time. Like it's not easy to do this, but like that was the whole point of the criticism, you know. Like you might as well just get somebody who is an opera and who doesn't need this transitional period, you know, and make things easier for yourself.
Yeah. I mentioned Pimp, and some people trashing Pimp in the comments. Classic. People think I hate Pimp, but that's actually not true. I actually hung out with him after the event, which rarely happens for Pimp. And the funniest thing about him is that like him on desks and him in real life is the same person. Like you're literally talking about, like someone said like, oh, I like Stockholm, and he's like, actually Stockholm, I think Stockholm is very overrated. And he's like, okay, why are you saying, like, yeah, I bet you like Copenhagen. No, Copenhagen is also overrated. It's like he's like literally just talking the same way, just like trashing everything. It's great. Love Pimp. We are kind of wrapping this up, and I think we have Chad ready to jump in. Is he here?
Hello?
Are
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Am I audible?
Yes.
You are audible.
All right. First things first, Refrezh, thank you for joining us. Sorry I'm not here this evening. I'm meant to be on a bit of a break, but they dropped Anubis, and then I watched all the Blast, and I've just been staying up until 5 a.m. every night playing Anubis with Hugo and Harry. So I'm going to go, is this going to be a bit of a downtime? We'll call it a sabbatical. So I'm taking a bit of time.
We're not paying for this one, though.
No, I'm paying myself, right? I buy through my own business, right? So this is how this all works. But last show we did, Anubis dropped that night. I'm pretty sure, right? Didn't that update come through that night?
Yeah, we were going to talk about it, that they're like hinting at some sort of a change, and we're like, is it going to happen tonight?
And then very clearly, chat said no, because it's Friday. They're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
And then after the show,
they dropped it. Yeah, they were probably watching, listening, you know, Valve. They're just like fucking Santa Claus. They're always keeping the list. But I've given an IP, boys, for everybody in TeamSpeak, and we can jump in there and we can fly around Anubis, and we can have a quick talk about the map and a bit of conversation.
Let me launch the game.
Yeah. So let me just settle this up. Do you use refrag by any chance? Refresh.
I've used it when I was in Heroic, but of course, not of course, but we're not using it now in Sprout. But it is a tool I've been using, and I've been liking, especially the demo review thing where you can connect the TeamSpeak, so it is like really nice.
Oh yeah, they have Casey and these boys are working on so many different features of this. It's good fun. But I figured we'd just jump in here and fly around the map. I don't know what Lucas
I can't
is
actually join teams.
Yeah, I think we had this issue. We had this issue with Prof earlier where I just have to change something, right? So I don't know how we want to go.
I mean, you can run around, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah. I understand that. But
That's fine.
Striker wants to
Let's,
run around.
Let's
So
Chad like
I mean, you know the
us.
most, you know the most about the map, so we can kind of like look at you and what you're doing it, and kind of maybe talk about the different areas. Go for it.
So for the two of you, Striker and Prof, did you guys play this at all?
I didn't play an actual game. I watched both of the games that were on record on HLTV, and I ran around like a lot and just like kind of try to figure out how it plays.
One game and watched the first game, the 80k.
Recently, right?
Yeah.
Refrezh, did you play this before when it was in any of the matchmaking stuff?
Before a bit, yeah.
I think I played it like one time matchmaking, but it's so long time ago I don't remember it. But this is the first time I've been in a server on Anubis so far.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm like
he's learning with us.
Yeah, so I'm going through this with a fresh mind, and I haven't seen anything at all. And also I have a little thing for you. You have the option now to call a spot and have a name for it.
I'll make a name for it. Yeah.
I mean, it could be chat, it could be SPUNJ. It's up to you. But I mean, you have the possibility of people in FaZe like calling like a name. So.
Yeah, well, let's like this is the first thing, right? Because
where's the chat spot? Just show us the chat spot. What's your favorite?
What is the best spot? What is the best spot?
Show us your best spot.
The best spot on the map. But the most important part of the map is obviously mid, right? It's like this drop down area, and this has so many different names. Everyone calls everything fucking connector when they play Anubis. Now, when I play with,
I think you put it dark or something.
Yeah, we called it like dark or lower or like
dark is good
under.
Because it's like the only place where it's kind of like a darkish, no?
Yeah, and this right here is going to be one of the most key areas of the entire map, right? Like with this mid dynamic.
I mean, this is Canal. This is pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
Like it's. But I think dark is a good name for that because it's kind of like stand out.
Well, because like the initial duel, when the T's get to this point, they're going to take the fight against the CT who gets here like a second or two later here for this angle, right? But there's so many different smokes that you see in teams throw. Like if any of those games that you guys were watching, you would have seen like a lot of the util that they had, right? So there's all these. I have 64 ticks spawn smokes to smoke mid from every spawn for when we play. Right? I want to actually try.
No, what a nerd!
I want to see like the timing.
See over
like
this?
That
you could boost over it, right?
Can you make it so that you don't see over it? Because I'm pretty sure you can see over it. No.
There's a whole bunch of different smokes you throw.
Yeah,
but if you
like,
boost
it
it
depends
here,
on how
right?
who's smoking it, right? As well. Like if the T's are gonna smoke, they don't want that gap. But if you're smoking it from the CT side, you definitely might want that to be an option.
But for example, like you can throw like this smoke or these smokes from so many different places, right? Just to do the same shit. The one that was getting thrown in the demo from the first game, the ATK game, the smoke was landing here. It has to be a bug because it was causing this massive one-way, right? It was sitting up so that there was a gap literally under here, and the T's could scale up and the CTs couldn't do shit. But then if you guys watch the Webster's game, you see the way that they scaled. They were playing 3 players over towards A, right? They're playing 3 guys getting control of this area, 1 guy top mid, and 1 guy outside of like B long. And when they were getting close, just to get in, and the thing is, this Webster game, they just got dumpstered by 516-3 while you guys have been doing the podcast. I didn't get to watch it. I'm going to get the demo, but you just, that's a bad molly. But you could just molly off here into the room. They're all bad
I've actually noticed. I've noticed. I think people will start complaining about that corner because I've noticed in those 2 games, I've noticed so many failed smokes because of that.
Yeah, here as well. Like the clipping is like on the walls.
But this
here.
is the clipping. But there you can see the like the lip on the edge.
How is the skyboxes?
They're pretty good. Yeah, so like I'll show you like how you can throw anything, right? I'll show you some bullshit as well. So like the smokes, you can throw shit real high. There's no dramas. They're gonna fucking fly all the way through the sky.
Bullshit.
So you're gonna have no issues with that. But we have issues with infinity mollies on this map, like almost everywhere, right? So one of them that's an issue is, what are we calling this? We're calling this over here rugs because of the fucking rugs. Let's see if I remember this.
Reasonable.
Let's see if I remember this. Is it here? Might be this one. So like you can see the way that the mollies are bouncing, right?
Yeah.
Even bounces on top of it.
I mean, it's the same for Asian. They still haven't fixed those mid mollies from T-spawn.
I'm really curious as to why. It seems like a very obvious fix.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the thing. I'm not sure if they have to change the skybox or if they have to change the way that the dynamic works, right? Because I was just looking at this way Skrunk did this mid util set. Where was he? He was here. I just put it on Twitter. But Skrunk does this mid util set. So he like mollies like this, something similar to this, so it covers off the door, and then they scale up middle, and he has an extra molly and does like a full another util set, right? So he was smoking for B, and I think he was mollying like this. Well, almost, but it basically keeps flying and lands through here and lands in this A connector. So It's pretty powerful.
Can you maybe, Lucas, bring up the map for a second, just so it's like kind of full screen, so we can talk about? Because the question I have for you, Chad, is what map does this remind you of? Like, what is the closest for like people that haven't played? What should they expect?
I think different parts of the map remind me of different things. So, for example, like A long, like A main, that reminds me of like A long on Cobble, like how aggressive you can go as a CT, and then you transitionally fall back further and further to the site, and the kind of timing's the same on that first fight. So that reminds me of like Cobble A long. Then you have something like over towards the B bomb site. In the site, it feels like the CT should be playing these setups that are very close to B main and that dark area, but it's actually much more passive. And I think you're going to see a lot of 3-player B setups similar to like Overpass, in the sense of you get one guy like jump spotting barrel, and one guy behind the pillar, the dildo inside, and one guy playing over the graffiti, right? You're going to have setups like that. They're like trap setups, and you let them take that space and you kind of clamp down. I think you're going to have lots of those.
Because I feel like, the B side has like 5 entrances, literally 4 entrances. It feels very easy to take, and you can't really sit inside and be like, I'll just fight this. If you don't have the utility, you just kind of have to retake it, or like pull out. It feels like is that the vibe of B?
So let me fly over there. So when you go B, right, as I was saying, it feels like what you want to do is you just want to smoke like this off and fight under and hold setups like.
But then when
here.
the smoke is out, you kind of have to pull out,
and
or you play
is,
one and done.
This smoke here, the T's just go, oh, I have all this space, and they just come down, and then it. So I think smoking this early is actually quite bad. I think it's good to use like reactionary if they're close, but like an AWP here, like holding this line. And or like playing these setups I was explaining, like if you're like have a guy like jiggling here and they cross to the right, and then you have a guy behind the pillar or whatever who flashes, and then one of you picks for the right guy, one of you picks for the left, you've now got the angles on both sides, right? So then when they want to swing, you can take those fights. Or doing shit like this, like as you're coming early, you can like limp out of smoke, and then you can come here and you can jump up on the platform, and you can one way over the top of this, right? But then that obviously means the T's are expecting that shit. So you're seeing a lot of teams like who are early nading, or they're flashing and then they're spamming through. So the defaults that I've seen teams running is like one towards B, one top mid, and then like one guy or 2 guys go downstairs quickly, either to take this fight or to beat this fight, and then come and post.
People are asking Lucas to remove the map.
Oh, sorry, Lucas. We made it hard for him, mate.
This drop is actually like what makes this map so unique, because like we don't really see this anywhere else, where you just have like one way to reach a place, but not like you have to go around a long way to get back
again, right?
Yeah, a little bit like, and it's a really quick fight too. Like the T's are there like super quickly, and the CTs are basically on the stairs by the time you reach this spot. So like that fight happens almost immediately into the round if you want to.
Shouldn't be able to get though, right? Because like,
no. I mean not the full all the way down.
But mid to late round, I think it's really important what you're highlighting, because teams are going to take their default space early, right? And teams are going to exchange util, which you're seeing in the current games now. Like T's will throw a smoke like that, and the CTs will throw one of their own and they'll block. And then as soon as the util starts to go, if it's only one guy defaulting top mid, CTs like I think are going to want to scale up more and take these type of fights, because it's kind of fucked for the T's. Like you're setting up to do other shit, or maybe you're scaling for space, or maybe you've already pushed up and then you're coming back and a guy's up here where you're ready to take these fights. Like this is why that util set I put on Twitter.
How does it work exactly with timings? I mean, I saw the matches and I saw how quickly those fights were happening on middle. I mean,
on middle,
yeah. Like
when you get to this point here,
what point do they meet? Do they meet at this point?
Basically, same time. Like CT can get there and just post up. The T's coming pretty much insta. And the thing is, like those timings automatically get removed because immediately people just smoke from spawn. So, but then if that happens, then they'll come and they'll take this fight. But
the timings kind of feel like they make sense, just very natural. I don't know. Like you play the map once and it just makes sense. You know, this is a duel, or you go down to canals and peek into dark. It's the duel, kind of the same time as well.
Yeah,
there's no like weird timings about it.
The thing that is the late to mid round stuff of like I was trying to come up with ways to talk about it when we were playing last night. Was like it's like leapfrogging rotations. So like if you're a main guy here, you want him, he might have to come over and hold mid so you can come back, but then you leave a timing. So do you just leave this guy here to cover this, and then you can drop this guy back because they can't cross mid? Because you need to be
from the T side, worrying from the flanks, essentially.
If you don't push this T up aggressive here to cover off mid. And also, like, if you go A and you push the guy mid, well, you need to know they can come through fucking canal behind you, and that's going to be a quicker rotation point for them, right? Because there's, like, always feels like there's leaks available on this map. Like,
Yeah.
That's some
I
of
feel
the,
like
the
when
things.
we were talking about like other maps, the mid part towards the double doors and that kind of reminds me of Ancient in a bit, like in the way how it will work out late round. Like it feels very powerful to get here where you are right now, but also not that easy.
Well,
Like
this is where it's transitional, I think, right? Like the early util, yeah, sure. But then the CTs, once you're out of nades, you kind of have to drop back into like a 2-3 setup. So
Yeah.
like, because you can hold, like you
which
can
is
just
like
jiggle
Ancient
this.
in a way, right?
Yeah, and then you can even hold like mid lines from back here, right? Like you can be holding mid from these places. So when you have 3B, we're calling this area temple. This guy can just rotate back to get this once it's leaked, right? Or be playing something like filthy like here or some shit, right? So it feels like you can staunch early and then drop back into passive setups.
I mean, what it reminded me of was Vertigo, actually, middle, because it seems like a place where like lurking is going to happen.
Ladder?
Like, no, I mean in general, mid of Vertigo, and the way that it plays out late in the round, because not a lot of the time will you see like teams go like 3 up middle and just like try to split. Of course, if you split sites, that will happen, but a lot of the time it's just a place for lurkers. You know, just like to lurk around the map, try to flank either on B or on A, and just get picks like late in the round that way. And I feel like that's going to be used this way as well. Once like all the utilities done, like there's going to be like Rops is probably going to be like just lurking around middle or trying to get through canals to down to oh, there we go.
I think you can definitely apply like some more pressure through mid than you can on Vertigo.
Yeah,
like
sure.
Because then the long rotation point through CT spawn like is mega long, and you're not getting out a lot. But what do you guys think about some of the namings here? Because I did make that graphic, but for example, like people are going to call whatever they want. We have our own fucking weird namings, but like here we're calling heaven, right? Like this makes sense.
That's good.
I feel like on B side there's a big pillar, so that needs to be dildo, and then on the A side, if you look at the side, that's a smaller one, so that's a butt plug. So that's just me.
We're calling this here fountain because of the fountain here, right? So this position,
fountain
right?
Makes sense.
But we were going to call this
There's
hell.
so many pillars, man. Like everybody's going to call.
But that's the thing. There's so many platforms and so many pillars. So we're going to call this heaven and then this hell, right? I know that seems to make less sense, but because this is the higher ground and then they come out
maybe
here,
hell
the lower ground, right?
Maybe hell you called what's under it, you know, like behind the pillar.
But that's the thing. That's why this is you're in the side.
I guess fair enough. Okay.
And I was thinking that it looks like a fish, so you could have if they're down that end tail, and if they're up this end head. What do you mean?
No, I said it does.
Oh,
it does. Yeah.
I thought you said how does it look like a fish? It looks more like a squid. If you said it looked like a squid, yeah, then you'd probably have me. But I think it looks like a fish.
Okay,
you're right.
I would say my first impression of this map, it feels like so easy to flash like everything as CT. I mean, you can flash peek like everywhere for your teammates. It feels like because the skyboxes are like that,
very open,
like skyboxes, so you can just flash everything. You can flash mid or you can flash like outside B. You know,
so aggressive CT plays, heroic map. That's what you're saying.
Yep. I mean, so you can flash everything.
So this is what we were doing as a move. So when the CT was going with a good spawn to go pick under or dark, whatever you call it, and the T would post up on this angle, I'd go over towards A and I'd insta throw 2 flashes through this window, right, to flash above him to either force him off the line or just to blind him for the peak. And those flashes would pop just about here. And then there was a Skrunks team, Sangal, they did this aggressive move where from spawn, he's able to smoke off these stairs, right, from a literal spawn. Then he comes over, throws a molly, which lands just in front of it. And then he flashed his teammates out, and 2 guys pushed out A main to fight this boat area.
Yeah.
That's actually a really cool move.
That's super sick. I actually have a question about, how does it work with the bomb site? Is there one of the bomb sites that makes more sense to play like retake on, or what do you think? I think that's going to be important.
I think like A is the small site for like a solo anchor a lot of the time. He gets help when he gets tested.
Yeah.
But B, I feel you have heavier in terms of being able to fight early. But I think it could be a good retake site because I was watching the way that these Webster guys would scale in. Once they have dark control, just like they just throw like a temple smoke, and then they can isolate basically everything up on this platform because they're not exposed to a whole lot here. So they were just able to scale up, take these fights, and clear out for a lot of. But I think you could play retake quite easily because, as you're saying, it's so open for retake util.
Yeah, so many entrances, and even like the flanks aren't that bad. I feel like A is really hard to retake, like because if you come from the CT side, like both entrances are kind of similar, very close. And then to make a long flank, it takes so much time if you don't really have like an aggressive player flanking already. Seems kind of easy to lock out. What is your experience? in the game.
If they don't use, and this is the thing, right? So in some of the matchmaking games that we play, and we are just doing matchmaking because you can get shitloads of matches. Some of the guys you play against have util like us, and they've geeked it out. And we check their profiles. They're like 3K elo fucking face it guys out here like practicing shit, and they're doing nades and stuff. And then it's like, okay, you have to try. But that's the thing. This util that locks you out, I feel once you wait for this smoke to clear, you're okay coming in because look how open a lot of this is. Like, I feel like it's fights that you don't mind taking. It's like right eye peaks. Like it doesn't feel bad coming out here, but obviously that could change it with good crossfires and stuff. Because the thing is, it's such low level play, and everybody. What I was likening this to was when we first started playing Ancient. Everybody just wanted to play hyper aggressive CT setups, close mid, close fucking B lane, aggro, and everybody pushes the maps early and takes the most like the quickest fight they can. But then when you think about it, like a lot of the fights we take on all these maps, you're passive. Like you're fucking jiggling here with a smoke ready, right? You drop a fucking, So the angles that people are going to play early and compared to what we're going to see the map evolve into, I think it's going to be very drastic very quickly. And this map as well, the reason I asked if any of you guys have played it previously was because, and you can check this, I'll link this on Twitch chat for everybody, is this map, I don't think it's going to get updated a lot because it was part of like a map core mapping competition back in 2019. It's already been in the game before. And if you go to that link that I put in there, if you people at home are interested, you could go to the change notes over the years, show you like on the 30th of August or the 28th of January 2021 when they were updating stuff. So the map has already been much more heavily play tested than an Ancient or a Vertigo, because this was a community-made map, which Valve have now bought. It's going to be up to them to fix the clipping, because you might see some clips on Reddit where like grenades are slipping through the ground or guns get dropped and end up through or like on those bad angles of the walls where the clipping is not good, right? That's the thing that needs to be patched first. And then other than that, I think the map itself, like it's more traditional Counter-Strike angles. It's like it's stuff that you're used to for fights. I mean, it's not so weird.
That's what I was gonna say. When I was running around, like everything feels very natural. Like even like if you, for example, like if you look at what operas can do on this map, they can pretty much go wherever they want. You can move your op around to all kinds of places and be very valuable. You can have them on mid. If you want them to be a little bit more like of the supportive opera and just like be able to run around between sites and support. Or you can have them on A on the longest route on the high up on the, what do you call it, heaven, right? And then like take the biggest fight there. Or even on the other side, there's a pretty good way to fight around the dildo area, because there's like he's probably not going to get smoked out, mollied off from all kinds of those angles. So I think like everything, like all the angles that I saw, like I don't know what people were saying about like there being too many. It's the same fucking argument they use for Ancient, like there being too many corners. It doesn't feel like that to me at all. It just feels very natural.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, right? People say that about just because it's new, before they really think about what's going on with the maps. So I don't know. I like the new maps because it makes you think about all this cool stuff, and that's I've spoken about this plenty of times on the podcast before. I like the creative side, and refrezh. Now maybe you're in-game leading, maybe you're like a bit more in that elk, right? It's like you can be creative, right? The strategies and the way you approach the game is a big part of the way that you get to express yourself as a leader. So, you're going to be playing Anubis now? What's going on?
I think after the break we are gonna for sure play it, because those two used to be our like permaban. So I think we have way better chances at being better on Anubis compared to Nuke. So I mean, like we would have kind of a 7 map pool, so that's gonna be interesting. Like to play with a lot of like different maps, and I think it's, in a way, I would say it's a bit stupid not to play a new map, because everyone is gonna be on 0, so you kind of have the same learning curve. I think it's just a huge advantage to play a map early.
Yeah, I'm hoping it gets picked up a lot. Like I heard you guys talking about it earlier about which teams are going to have to play it and all that kind of shit. So I'm excited to see.
Do you
how
think anyone's going to play it in Abu Dhabi?
I hope so. I
think they have to. It's too many teams who didn't play Dust 2, man.
And it's one of these things where like if you can, you go into it in a 50-50, right? Like we don't even know if this is going to be a CT or a T map, right? Like we got no idea. We don't know how it's going to play out.
The pros will figure out what's the best way to play it. Obviously, that's always what happens. So we're gonna have to see.
All right.
I feel like
you want me to go over anything else, Prof? What do you want to see, mate?
Just like your general comments after seeing this, it feels like there's so many places to use utility that you know, it's easy to think, oh, you can take mid with this and this and this, and then you can take A, you can execute here, like, but the amount of utility you have is actually limited. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a lot about like using it smartly and trying to like fake the map control. I feel like that might be like a weird part of it, because Campus did say it feels like a Valorant map, but if you look at the kind of the T side, the dead space, it does kind of look like a Valorant map. There's a lot of just area that feels like it's for nothing, but it's not. So balancing that kind of map presence while not doing anything and not wasting too much utility, so you could use it on another part is going to be very interesting for me. That's kind of what I'm looking for.
Yeah, it's just one of these things where, like, that's why I'm watching all these demos and stuff of it being played, because I want to see where the teams are at, and I want to see what 500 did against Webster's, because Webster's beat Sangal like 16-7 when they played in this matchup here, but then 500 just destroyed Webster's. Like, ships.
Oh, was there a new new match on it? I didn't see that.
Demo's just gone up, so
yeah,
take a look.
Okay. I didn't even realize that.
But you can see, sorry, man.
Yeah, I think especially in the beginning, like, I feel like when I'm watching this, it feels like watching an old game, like from 2016 or something, where everyone is just like, you know, like spreading out on the map and doing a full default, the CTs and the Ts. But I think in this new meta, it's more like people like stacking up somewhere with 3 guys and taking space. But what I'm seeing is like 1 guy alone, like this box guy's alone, MDS is alone outside B, so it's a lot of like spreading out on the map. And I think right now is, of course, it's a new map, so people don't know what they're doing. But I think it's gonna be really strong to group up a lot of people some places. Okay, it's actually what they're doing right now. They're just grouping up 3 guys outside of B, and they're kind of just filling insta, because look at the CTs like defense, they're also like spread out, and okay, probably 2 guys B, but still, I feel like it's really strong to just group up on a new map, because people don't know how to defend yet in the best way possible. So even though it's 2 guys, in a way, they should be able to win it. I hope so.
Yeah,
maybe Snowflake.
They should do.
Yeah,
they were owning them.
Yeah.
I'm curious about just more like CT aggression in general, because it feels like mid is kind of the only place where you can do that.
You can push out here, right? Like I was saying with the one way, and I think like jiggling and getting flashed out to take fights, especially if they're doing 1-player default.
That's like train vibes a lot, like
Ivy,
on Ivy for sure. Yeah.
Or if you do something as a team here, like you could post an AWP up on this angle. They can cross to this side first, but like you could post up an AWP on this angle, and then you could scale out later depending on all the info. I think the late mid stuff with that.
I think that's where we're gonna see like most late round aggression for sure, like just in general, because that's gonna be the map, the place of the map that people care about the least. You know, that's the furthest away from the sites.
You didn't pick a position for.
What's your favorite
nickname?
position?
I'm not gonna name
the chat.
I'm not going to name anything after my selfie, you know. But if I see some of the util sets that I've been like throwing out there on Twitter used, I'll be like, oh, you know, I hope that maybe they saw that and they were mildly inspired. That you guys have the thing with the names. When I'm doing it, when I'm with the commentary guys like Harry and Hugo and Rush and everybody and stuff, we're coming up with lingo that we could use
on the cast.
Yeah, so it kind of gets multifaceted. So I understand, like, for players, they might use a lot of similar names and stuff, and we're trying to do that too, but want it to be descriptive so people know what area of the map we're talking about, as well as, you know,
like I'm guessing you're calling you're calling that window.
Yeah,
I'm gonna assume,
as opposed to like drop, right? But you could
you could call it drop too. Yeah, I guess so.
But I want to see if this gets used. I really want to see if this, because like late mid, right? To retake late mid. I've been doing this with Harry, and like I said, it's just matchmaking. So there's fucking no way to know if this is something that's actually going to work or not. But that smoke lands on top of the B mid stairs, and doing the fucking 64 tick version, man, like fucking matchmaking noob. And this molly lands, and it clears out all of this, right? So the guy can jump up on here, sure, but you can clear out this whole side. So they have a choice: they either go back through the smoke or they push out, and you do it as the their smoke or your aggressive smoke's fading, and then you can scale up and you can take fights down here, you can take fights over here. And normally, if they're defaulting that only one player mid, it works out really well. Like it's a nice little combo to take some space. So I was curious to see how this map's going to develop. I'm going to spend a lot more time trying to play it. I might graduate to FaZe on it soon if I can convince the others. But I hope that we gave the viewers something interesting.
I think so. I think
this is cool.
Okay, I have a quick question. When I'm looking at the bomb sites, it looks like, you know, the afterplant rounds for the T's is like at least 3 entrances on A, there's like 3 places the CTs can come from. Is it even possible to flank A like this way where you're standing now? Like, is it worth like?
Yeah,
or takes
because
it like too much time?
if you're coming through, if you're a B defender and you're coming
Yeah.
through here, it's worth it. It's
Yeah,
actually
okay.
it's quicker than it seems like it is.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But it depends on like this is the thing. If
And
you leave a
lurkers.
person, someone lurking mid, you kind of need them to watch this and
Yeah.
this, right? So like, back
Okay.
here's because the crossover of this push gets so weird. And like if at any moment the timing gets left, this is the funky bit. This is where like Heroic's style of reaggressing here, it could fuck teams so much. Because if you commit for a heavy B execute and you don't have many people mid, or you commit for a heavy A execute, like that one we saw the ATK guys do the other day, then you're not going to have enough resources to cover all the gaps. I think that's where the issue is going to come, is with a lot of this timing on mid. So if you can push someone up as a T and hold this, you're in a really good. I think you're in a really good position. But I don't know. It's still hard to tell.
So
So much round time.
I actually think that there's a good balance between, because like a lot of the time there's a lot of places on B or on like a side to stand, you know, and where to take fights from. But this feels like there's a good balance between spots that you can be in, but that can also be mollied off or smoked off, you know, by the T. So there's like a lot of space for counterplay in that sense, and it's not like it's going to leave 10 different spots open, you know, that you just didn't have the utility for, you know. It seems like a good balance to me on both sides.
I know when we first started playing, like the smokes that we were running with initially were like, this is because, you know, we didn't know where people were going to hold and what made the most sense. But we were running with a smoke here and we were running with a smoke here. And the reason that we didn't smoke up here is because you can get a one-way over the top of this.
But you can trade also there.
But the reason is, like, you do these smokes and we give ourselves no space to work with. So now it's like a temple smoke and then one here if you really want. And then you use a bit more like mollies and whatever, because we're calling this platform up here. And then we were calling this glyph because it's a hieroglyph here. But anyway, we were calling this like fence, because these are all places that, like, if you're playing here and they're coming in and you have somebody baiting, like this spot here is fucking mega. Like you're wrecking, or you're playing behind this pillar here that you got some mollies for that and stuff. I think there's so much potential for flash plays and flash pushes, and so many cool like crossfire setups, because the site feels like, oh yeah, we're fighting this choke point, but you're not. Like you could have a guy back here watching the walk to fence and a guy this side here watching the walk up out of dark, right? And then he's going to see him crossing first.
Yeah, that's actually cool, yeah.
So you can have like so many of those different variations available for these crossfires and shit. There's a boost you can do. You got a guy in your head, you can see over this. You can like just jump spot over this
Pretty
wall,
cool.
right? And then you can like drop some defensive utility with it. This spot here, I think is going to get a bit of play time. It just feels like a real ratty angle. I don't know what to call it. There's a shrub there. There's some vines there. Maybe one of the two names.
People are asking, can you boost into the bridge from the canal?
Yes, you can. You can.
What's
Just two man enough?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
Oh.
I'll let the pro go up on top.
Okay.
Don't want to fuck my movement here.
Oh shit.
That's all right.
Clipping boys.
Look, this is the first time he's been on the map, everybody at home.
And I would say my monitor is really far away right now.
Yeah, Lucas made him push it back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
nice.
you can boost up here.
Okay.
One of the things because we do a pistol round where we fast smoke mid and then we come and drop down and split B, right? So like pathing for dropping down, a guy can jump out the window and come land on this, right?
Oh, that's super annoying, yeah.
Yeah.
And you
then,
gotta
like,
kill him. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're just like working on like dumb shit like that in terms of being able to be, you know, but there's some fucked up stuff. Like this is what I'm saying about the clipping. So 1 second. I should be able to do this. Okay, stand. Oh, you're on my team. It might not hit. Can you swap to CT and come stand in this like corner here? See if I probably don't know the fucking lineups, but I was looking at like a lot of Twitter threads and so that's fucked. Like I shouldn't be able to spam you through that wall. And also, I don't know how to throw it. Mitha has one on his Twitter or some shit, but there's a molly that like can land up there and it can burn through this wall.
Yeah.
So like that shit needs to be fixed. Like it's just those little details that are annoying and they're going to cause issues. Somebody has a gun out here, right? And the gun gets shot. This is on Reddit at the moment, and it goes under the gutter here and falls under the map. It's like, man, this is just fucking So it's that stuff that needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
Well, can't wait for the bomb to get stuck somewhere you can't reach it.
But that's the thing, and I hope that like Valve are paying attention, because I haven't been sending them any emails about what's going on. So hopefully they've been, you know.
But they're reasonably good about like paying attention to these things, at least like the ones that like really break the game, like, you know, bomb being in unreachable places and things like that.
Hopefully. they have a tournament coming up pretty soon, so it would be good time to update that.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna leave you boys to it. You got you.
Yeah,
good?
I mean, we're pretty
nervous?
much closing down anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we're closing down the show. This was the ending. Do you have the link for your callouts? I can just show before we
shoot it on Twitter. Oh, shoot it on Twitter maybe if you
yeah,
want.
that makes
sense.
sense.
If you're okay with putting that out there.
That makes sense. Chad everywhere. Every position is Chad.
I can put it. I can put it on Twitter. I don't think people are going to love it very much, but
people have been upset because you called Plat instead of back of B, which is the official naming in the video game. So why aren't you using back of B or back of B site or back of B site on Anubis? I think that's also very short.
I think we'll work on that. We'll see if we can add that one into the mix for everybody at home.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Yeah. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, Refrezh. Thanks for joining. Bye.
Yeah. Let's kind of close it off. We didn't have a lot of questions this time, or at least I didn't see them. Some of them that were interesting, we did ask during the pre-show, during the hot seats and stuff like that. But let's before we end, the classic kind of opening up the conversation for you, Refrezh. If you have anything you want to add, say, shout outs, whatever. What's going on?
I don't really have anything special other than I'm excited for Anubis. It actually looks like a map that's gonna be nice and competitive from the start compared to Vertigo and Asian in the beginning where it was a bit crazy, but it really looks like a map where you can be creative and do a lot of stuff. So first impression is really nice by Anubis.
Can't wait for the season to. When are you gonna start practicing?
I mean, we are actually still practicing. We still have 2 tournaments left. We have the ECL and
CCT.
Yeah, CCT exactly. So those 2 things we still have.
Okay. We did. It's fine. Let's kind of end it there.
Lucas is saying in one moment we didn't do that.
It's fine. Now it's kind of out of. Doesn't make sense right now. But you want to? Okay, show it.
I want. This is a good one, guys. Oh, that's.
I don't even know what it is.
That's an old N1 moment. Ignore that clip.
Okay. I can't see anything. I don't know what you're showing. No. Are you showing the Twitter thing?
Yes, I will show the Twitter.
Okay.
So this guy on Twitter literally listened to way more content than we produced in 2022. So shout out to this guy.
Unreadable nickname, of course, but he did listen to like 8,000 minutes of Confirmed on Spotify when we posted like 5,000. So he re-listened
like 50 more hours than he's supposed to.
Yeah. So good job to him. Thank you. Thanks for the support. We need to reach out. And I was looking to send him like a T-shirt, but apparently they're sold out on the ESL shop. So I don't know. Maybe we can send him a skin. I think that would be nice. Lucas, get in touch with the guy. Send them some gloves. The ones that we didn't give out to the guy today. Those I'm using my SPUNJ power right now. Is that okay?
I think it's okay. I approve.
Is it okay?
It's
not
asking
okay. Him as if he's my boss. I'm his boss. This is how it works.
Wait. Okay. No.
Thanks, Striker. Do you have any closing thoughts? Give us some wisdom from Czech Republic.
Play Anubis.
Play Anubis.
I think it's a cool map.
Yeah, we'll see you on the servers then. Okay, thanks for tuning in. Thanks Refrezh for joining us. Old school guest, as I said in the beginning, back when we were no one.
Yeah, thanks.
Wasn't there one thing that we had about your haircut, or was that from somewhere else?
There was a bet of some sort that you kind of chickened out. I feel like we're not gonna bring that up.
No, we're not. That's too old. Yeah, that's too old.
Okay.
Yeah.
The statute of limitations is got on that.
That is true. 2 years have passed. We don't bring that up anymore. Just like SPUNJ losing that bet. I don't know what that was about. Or Titan Renegades. Thanks, Xtrfy, Bitskins, and OneBet for sponsoring the show. We'll be back sometime before Blast World Finals or Global Finals or is this Flat Finals, whatever the fuck it's called. And see you then.
Add some fun to your space with Xtrfy, designed in Sweden with focus on quality products built on experience. You're looking at Project 4, their 4th generation of products with super cool colorways to stand out, with matching sets to satisfy with a solid B4 bungee, lightweight ergonomic M4 mouse, the K4 keyboard is fantastic, all of which are performance focused, and finish it off with colorful GP4 mouse mats that are bold in design and smooth on the surface. The retro theme in particular has got the feels. Complete your setup with Xtrfy. No regrets, guaranteed.
Finally, I found what I was looking for. Now that my search is over, it's gonna be a tough choice. But fortunately, no need to choose. When you can just have them all. Buy and sell skins on Bitskins.com.
N1 Bet. Your bet, your game.